Good morning and welcome to another edition of Zoom Mondays. I'm your host, Alan C. Buchanan, and Zoom Mondays is a series of conversations with people about issues that matter to small businesses. And I'm very pleased to have my friend and mentor, Mr. Rod Santomassimo from the Massimo Group. Rod, please introduce yourself.
Hey, Alan, thanks for having me. Yes, Rod Santomassimo. My company is the Massimo Group, and under the Massimo Group, we have several other companies.
Now, Rod, you and I met through commercial real estate. I'm obviously a commercial real estate broker. You were a commercial real estate broker, and we hit a little blip in the action about 2008, didn't we?
Well, 2008 was the catalyst to the Massimo Group, yeah.
And quite successful it has been. So, Rod, you've mentored, coached a number of us through the years. I am a Massimo client. I participate in coaching calls at least twice a month. And, well, hey, let's get to some meat here. You've written a couple of books recently, huh?
Yeah, I've written 3 books overall, but the big one, obviously, is the one that was released last week. I wrote a manifesto over 12 years of doing this and seeing what works, what doesn't, and really just trying to say, hey, let's put everything out there. And I'll tell you, Alan, my sales guys were shocked. They're like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you sharing everything we do with the public? I said, first of all, it's not everything. And second of all, and the title of the book is appropriately Knowing Isn't Doing, because we can all share information. There you go. That's the book right there. And I just want to put a framework, and that was really it. Give everyone a framework for how they can build their business. Let's just share what we can, and knock on wood, the book has had some success.
You know, you made a number of interesting points, but one I wanted to kind of elaborate on, which is this whole concept of scarcity. And we are so afraid to share our knowledge. I know when I launched my Tuesday Traffic Tips, which is a video series aimed at commercial real estate brokers specifically, the question that I still get today after 7 years of doing those silly little videos is, hey, why are you sharing all your tips? And in my mind, if we can share tips to help make our industry better, we all benefit as a result. Was it a similar thing with you?
It was. But I found that there are 2 types of folks that share everything. One are those that live in a world of abundance, and they're like, look, just share it. You're a perfect example, Alan. You are. And I'm more like you. I live in a world of abundance. It is what it is. There's plenty out there. But then there are those that are so successful and so good, they don't mind sharing because you're not going to beat me. It's just the way it is. You have to live in a world of abundance. It's amazing what comes back to you. It just is.
Yeah, it's very interesting when you do share, the entire pond, it seems, gets larger, and therefore the fish that come out of that pond tend to be more abundant as well. Hey, I want to get into one of the concepts that you cover in your book, and you can see mine's here. Mine's dog-eared and lots of notes and what have you, which frankly this book inspired me to do. But you talk about a concept which candidly I'd never really considered, and that is you are, whether you run a multi-billion-dollar company or whether you are a sole entrepreneur, you are the CEO of Me Incorporated, and that comes with some specific categories. Please share that concept with our audience, because I think it's just, if you get nothing else out of the book, get that out of the book, and it will absolutely revolutionize what you do every day.
Yeah, unfortunately, Alan, there are many folks in many industries that are independent contractors, or they're just have their own little business and and little being small is fine, right? And it's just they're just a vendor to other folks, and they have this concept that if I show up and do the work, I'm gonna be okay. Well, that may be true, but also that's an employee-based mindset. Nothing wrong with being an employee. But if you start your own business, if you're an independent contractor, solo open, you're a small business owner, you've got to realize you're just as well, you're just as important as for old guys like me and you, Alan, just as important as Lee Iacocca was, right? Or just as important as Mark Zuckerberg is now, or whoever it may be. Think as a CEO, you have the same responsibilities. You have to run your sales. You do. Even if you're by yourself, you have to run your sales. You have to run your marketing division. You do. You have to command your finance division. You absolutely do. Oh, then you have a thing called operations, how we get things done, what are the processes, really important. And last but not least, everyone, even if you're a solopreneur, you have a human resource division because then you have to get more valuable to increase your value to your prospects. So those 5 divisions, sales, marketing, finance, operations, and human resources, is something a lot of us take for granted.
I spent the better part of my Saturday morning actually looking at our marketing, and I have prided myself on doing a pretty good job of digitally marketing my brand, but I realized there are a whole bevy of issues relative to marketing that I don't do a terribly good job at. My CEO of me, if you will. And so I've spent a fair amount of time. I'm going to completely retool that. It may even lead to me hiring someone. So thank you for that, by the way. Hey, in the time we have remaining, I'd just like to cover a couple of quick points. And one of those is the curious timing of this book release. This book released last week. Did you have any clue when you wrote and got this book published for release that we would be faced with what we're faced with now?
No. In fact, I wrote the book. I wrote the book and started the book 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Now, the book was done, ready to go to print in March. But as one thing I share in the book, just because you have a product, right, the book, whatever your product, your service, you have to build a whole process of presence initiatives and get a campaign going and then get it to the market where it can be successful, especially in the book. And then as the last 5-6 months have gone by with the pandemic, I found the messaging of that book, the messaging of that offer was changing, right? First it was, hey, build your business. And now it's completely different. Now people are truly stuck. They're truly lost. There are some folks that are, well, they're fearful. They're scared. So I want to give that. So the messaging has to work there to show this book is applicable to them as well.
Yeah, truly, truly amazing the times we're in. And it has forced a lot of us out of the office suites and into our garage or into our palatial studios or into our pool house, as it were. You've run the Massimo Group virtually since its inception, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So you are very, I would say, unique. You're not unique anymore, but you were at the time in terms of running a virtual organization. So as we leave one another here, maybe 2 quick tips on how to run a virtual organization.
Yeah, we've been doing this now I've been working at my house for 16 years, but the company for 12 years. And we actually one of the first clients of Zoom. We call it ZOOMondays. We're actually one of the first clients of Zoom 6-7 years ago. In fact, down we still have the grandfather pricing. I'll share that with you. A couple things you got to do. Number one, virtually, it's important to have communication, obviously, and have some synergistic processes in place that everything works well. You have to process is paramount. We talk about this in the book, right, Alan? The final P factor, and that is, do you have the talented people that you can trust and you can let go and work independently and empower to do what you want to get done? So people, then you need the process. What processes do you have in place? It takes time. We talk about in the book. That takes time. But the ways to create processes for a virtual company. And then from a communication standpoint, you got to have the platforms. We really rely on 3 specific platforms to constantly communicate with each other, know where we are. I have 40 people now in my organization to locate throughout North America. They just are. We're fortunate now to have clients actually in 4 continents, I believe, last time we counted. So the processes that we use is, number one, the easy one, an expensive one, is Zoom. I mean, it really works. It works, and we've used it for a long time, and it's gotten better and better. We use a contact software. It doesn't matter which one you use, but you should use a CRM to talk to everyone. We use one called Infusionsoft. Doesn't say that you should use it. That's one. Also, we use Slack. Slack really works for us. Now, I know Voxer's coming out and other things are coming out for communication, but for us, Slack is an instantaneous off the email. Email is coming less and less utilized by us and more from a client-facing perspective, not internal at all. So we can keep the two separate. But for us, people, process, platform. And that's true for you too, anyone out there. You get those 3 pillars of that stool, and you can start building a really powerful business.
The man, Rod Santomassimo, the book, don't kid yourself, Knowing Isn't Doing. Hey, Rod, where can we find the book and how can people contact you?
The book is now available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble physically, Barnes & Noble digitally, Walmart digitally. Up in the Northwest for some folks, there's a place called Powell City Books, all available there. The Kindle book just came out over the weekend. The Audible will come out in 30 days. And that was a tough one, I got to tell you. And then for me, just Massimo, Massimo, Massimo.coach, Massimo.coach. You can find us there.
Awesome. Hey, Rod, it's been a distinct pleasure, and I always enjoy catching up. And thanks for making time with us this morning.
Well, I'm always honored to work and speak with you. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for allowing me to be a guest on Zoom Mondays with Alan Buchanan.
My pleasure. Take care, friend.